Hello there. It's Jeff Carter welcoming you to another Degrassi poll video. So I started doing Degrassi polls, and if I can remember the four beforehand, the first one was, well, I did one on who's the second biggest villain in the Degrassi universe behind Rick, and you overwhelmingly said Jay, with Raj actually coming in second in that poll, which made me ticked off. It's like, as a villain. But anyway, the way I felt about a villain in my mind is that, someone who abused Rick and all that. Raj left Rick high and dry, but he wasn't a villain in the sense that I was thinking of, trying to hurt people. I also did what Emma's best relationship was. I basically knew that it was going to be Emma and Sean, but what did other people think of her other relationships? With Damien, Chris, um, Peter and Kelly, among others. Oh yeah, and Spinner too. I also did one on which phase of Emma, which Emma did you like better? There were 6 different Emmas that I talked to, from boy crazy Emma to college Emma to zombie Emma from season 4 to the pretentious Emma that we knew for the first 3+ seasons. And I think the pretentious one won. And then I also did one about the best unpopular opinion from season 4 that is my creation that you would believe in the most. And Emma wanting to be with Sean in the aftermath of nearly having the gun being shot by Rick was number 1, with number 2 being Jimmy was targeted by Spinner and Jay, basically because Jimmy decided to stand up to them and they were trying to get Jimmy back. So this one is about a video I did a couple years ago called Degrassi 4 Horsewomen of the Apocalypse. It's been about 2 years since I released this on YouTube. And I always thought about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and I'm thinking, well, there's a Degrassi apocalypse about the 4 females. I knew about Emma, Claire, and Maya being characters that seem to be good, but they got a lot of hate, I guess, for being, feminist and all that. Claire wasn't really feminist. So I basically said who could be the best, though. I needed a 4th, and I did a poll, and Holly J ended up winning. I was shocked. I thought Paige would have been put number 4. But yeah, so I linked to it in my Reddit post, and I hope you enjoyed it. Or you know about it. So yeah, the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse. So I decided to have 6 options. Well, Emma, Claire, Maya, and Holly J. And then one option was I can't decide who's the best. And one option was no one, I prefer someone else. Of the 2 non-character choices, it got a total of 23 votes. 13 for no one and 10 for I can't decide who's the best of these 4. So combined, they would have been that would have been 3rd place. I got some comments and all that. Corona Bride said they would put Caitlin, but I said because of the Next Generation area. And someone said Allie. So yeah. All right, so who did you like the most of the 4? Only one person put down when they voted for no one, I prefer someone else. But anyway, number 4 was Maya with 20 votes out of 175. 3rd and 4th was actually close, but yeah, Maya. Maya was introduced in season 11, if memory serves me correctly, and she was, Katie's little sister. Well, that Katie had her problems with drugs and, dealing with a ruined D trying to be part of the Canadian soccer team. So anyway, Maya was in prominence in season 12 when a boy she kind of like Cam moved from Kapuskasing in Northern Ontario down to Toronto to play major junior hockey. And there was a hockey team that was at Degrassi, with Dallas and a few other players, like Luke Baker. So they were introduced in season 12. And Cam seemed to be okay, but Cam had a lot of pressure on him doing so well. And he's not doing so well on the ice, and his teammates give him flack. Especially after they realized that Cam has a crush on Maya. Now Maya liked Cam, but there was also another boy involved. That was Sig, and Cam was angry after Sig triggered him during a thing during that intramural floor hockey thing. Cam beats up on Sig. Maya basically says that Cam just snapped for some reason, even though Maya knows that Sig set him off. Cam gets suspended, but Cam comes back to Maya and says, I want to meet up with you. Sig interferes and tells Cam to stay out of Maya's life forever. Cam does so. He takes it seriously and mutilates himself somehow in the JT York greenhouse. And, Maya seemed indifferent. She just wanted to move on with things. And she laughed at Sig when Sig told Maya that he was why Cam probably killed himself. And then Maya said at Cam's thing about the fact that Cam killed himself. He was selfish. I would have helped him out. Why didn't he say something to me? And then Maya turned into this person who, tried to get a relationship with Miles. Like 3 times she had a relationship with Miles, and 3 times it ended terribly. People noticed how bad Maya had it in season 13 and 14. I mean, yeah, she got slushed by Zoe. She retaliated by song, and basically Simpson threw the book at her. I don't know why. But maybe it was because Simpson was afraid of Zoe's mom pressing things on them. Because, Zoe's mom, Zoe was an actress, and I think Snake was afraid of catching flack. Snake failed Maya in season 13, and Maya decided to be a little more provocative. And when Katie and her mom call her out on it, she basically lashes out that, Cam broke up with me. I'll never be happy again. Like, was she trying to fuck herself over? Well, anyway, season 13 was also when Tristan got pissed off at Maya for reporting his thing with Mr. Yates. Basically thinking that Maya was jealous of Tristan. But Maya's like, no, why would I be jealous? He was groping you. You could have been. You're just jealous because, well, you're with Miles. You're just jealous because I like Miles. And you have so many guys around you. Why are you trying to ruin my life? And basically, Maya and Tristan didn't really get along with each other after season 13. At least I wouldn't have. Then season 14, she gets into this overprotective phase because her dreams, she keeps seeing Miles in the position of Cam, like falling, like trying to break his arm off the banister and all that. So she realizes that she needs help. She asks for help. But then after Miles makes some social media stuff and cuts her out of social media, Maya was worried about Miles' well-being and basically said that, I can't let this happen to me again. So, yeah, so she panicked. She had a panic attack. She was protecting Miles from an accident. And the police and her mom basically told her that, A, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And B, is that you can't just risk your life for a boy. I mean, I know Maya could have gotten herself better care if she actually told everyone about the fact that about Cam affecting her and even saying her name. I think because in other people's eyes, she's just pretentious and like overprotective. Although she does get justice when Miles finally dealt with his dad in such a way and says, feel free to check up on me. And Maya says, nah, you're fine. Maya was with Sig and all that, became a feminist. It was hard to believe, And then at the end of season 2 with a bus crash and all that, she was on a bus with boosters for the volleyball team, and then they got in a crash, and then Tristan is a coma. Maya, for some reason, decides that, she feels depressed, and she just can't feel happy again. I mean, in a sense, I don't know why she was panicking over Tristan. I mean, Tristan was a dick to her. But yeah, it brought back the things about Cam and all that. She was doing well for 3 seasons, and then it just popped up. And then she decides that she will have to kill herself. And she decides to go onto the bus with the headphones on, listening to music, and popping pills. Half an hour later, and go fall to sleep. But half an hour later, she wakes up, she says, I'm doing something wrong. She decides to jump off the roof. And thankfully, because of Esme and Sid kissing each other on the roof, they find Maya, and they make sure she's alive and all that. Maya goes through the fourth season with Katie coming back into the picture, trying to get better and all that. And she did, but she's had a lapse when she accidentally took Sig to the prom, and Esme was upset with Sig. Maya didn't want to go to graduation, but Grace thankfully saved Maya from herself. And then Maya goes off with Sig to California. You know, Emma, Maya told the guidance counselor about Esme's problems because she figured she needed to help Esme. After all, Esme did kind of save her life. So yeah, that was Maya. Number 3 with 21 votes was Claire. So of course I think they tried too hard to make Claire into an Emma clone. And yes, Emma's in the top 2, obviously. So Claire was basically Darcy's little sister. In seasons 5 and 6, she was introduced and all that because Darcy was trying to take care of Spinner after Spinner needed a redemption to get his friends back. So she kind of got involved when Darcy was dealing with the online photos and with Adams. But by season 8, Claire was now a character on the show in the gifted class. And I figured with Emma being dropped to college storylines, they needed a female protagonist like Emma. So they went with Claire and gave her a lot of curveballs and all that. Claire wasn't a cause girl like Emma was. Although in season 8, she did a cause to get Shep in trouble for his perceived notions about the gifted people, and especially Connor. She manages to get him into sensitivity training, but not fired. But Claire seemed to be a good person who wanted to help out. Like her sister went to Kenya, maybe at her parents' insistence. I'm not convinced otherwise. So anyway, Claire is there, and then she goes with Casey, and Connor tries to help. Connor has an affection to Claire, but then Connor decides to want to have Claire and Casey back together. But Casey falls for Jenna instead and steals Jenna steals Casey from Claire's nose. Claire finds a boy named Eli who drives a hearse everywhere, and it's darkened and all that. Claire went through a lot of personal drama herself. Like, she got laser eye surgery, so she didn't have to wear glasses. But basically, her parents were splitting up, and she didn't know why, and she kind of was upset that her Christian faith didn't help her parents get back together. She wanted to join a weed cult because she felt like she was nowhere to go. But at the end, it was Claire's mom decided to take care of Claire full time, in a sense. Basically telling her that the divorce was not her fault. She thought it was. And then, of course, Claire with Eli, with all that drama over Eli, she just couldn't handle it. And then basically tells Eli, "Did you forget about me? Did you flip a switch or something?" And pretend that I don't exist. I don't know what the rant was. But Claire, unfortunately, was told by Katie that she was really drama and all that. And Claire was, avoided by a lot of people. And then the writers decided to put Claire with Asher, her boss sexually abusing her. Then gave Claire cancer in season 13, which was shocking. I mean, they gave Claire a massive condition. I know they kind of gave Emma a social disease, but they gave Claire cancer, and then she has to go through it. And then she realizes that she should be with Eli, and then somehow she gets pregnant in season 14, but by Drew. Well, it was originally by Drew, and Drew was going to step up to take responsibility for the kid. And then it was revealed that Claire's pregnancy was along a few more weeks later than normal, so that meant that it was Eli who was the one who impregnated her. So Eli wants to be with Claire and all that. Claire has dreams to go to Columbia, but then she has to deal with the kid, and she doesn't know what to do because, she wants to tell her child that her son, I guess it's her son, that she at least tried to go to Columbia, even though she was pregnant. Claire has a miscarriage. She and Eli have a thing going to the States and then coming back, and then that was when Claire decided to step up to a cause about Pill's overprotectiveness. Pill came into the school after Simpson ruined Degrassi nudes, and she put cameras on the hallways. Fine, but she had audio, and basically she wanted to try to help Claire out. Claire was nominated to be valedictorian. Claire basically decides, I'm not going to be the woman I am. And I have to tell about Pill's policies. Pill says, you have a great spot about being a politician, but, you know, people don't want to care about that. And Claire, kind of like what Emma in season 2, about telling the faculty's policies, quote unquote, decided to smash up every camera. She got a massive suspension by Pill. She lost all her power, and Connor got to be valedictorian. Claire ends up taking kind of a gap year, but we don't hear about what happened to Claire after season 14. Number 2, and the shocking one, was Emma with 45 votes. Well, there were 175 votes, but 45 went to Emma. Emma was the protagonist for most of the season. She was there for the first 9 seasons, or what we call the CTV run of Degrassi, because CTV had Degrassi for the first 9 seasons and then lost it because of declining ratings. And then season 10 was when Team Nick, no, the end, no, who picked it up? American, Team Nick, I guess, and then MTV Canada, or was it Much Music Canada? But anyway, they took it from CTV's clutches. So Emma was introduced in the first episode of Next Generation as someone who was in love with a boy over the internet who shares her environmentalist things. Unfortunately, she meets him, and it's a middle-aged man. And this was catfishing before catfishing was the popular lexicon. So Emma had problems with that. You know, she was Spike's kid and all that. And then she sees Sean. She falls in love with Sean, trying to change him in a sense. But unfortunately, Sean and Emma's first relationship goes on the wayside after Sean beats up on Jimmy and accidentally punches Emma in the process. Emma in season 2 would become very unbearable. Well, first she had to deal with her mom dating her teacher. I mean, honestly, it's like kind of embarrassing, don't you think? Especially with the fact that her soon-to-be stepfather, that being Snake, helped her win a science fair project. Although, well, Emma was convinced by Liberty that it was kind of unfair. Like, Emma kind of figured it out on her own. And we found out that Liberty was being jealous because she didn't win the competition. Liberty is a go-getter, an A-type. But then Emma realizes that she's not giving Snake a chance, and then, you know, thinks that Snake and Spike should be together. Snake and Spike have their wedding. Of course, that was almost ruined when Emma basically didn't want Spike to abort the baby that they're carrying. And Spike, of course, said that I didn't want a second mistake, and Emma took it like Emma style. I know Emma meant well, but I mean, going to Snake and says that, you know, you got to stop her and all that. Spike wasn't too happy with Emma interfering, but Snake said that at least someone has to be an adult. And then they decided to raise the kid, and then Emma happy and all that. Emma had to deal with Raditch in Fight for Your Right when she basically thought that he was throwing her GMO foods cause out the window by saying that I'm not going to help you out. And besides, we are lucky to have a cafeteria because of budgetary reasons. Emma thinks that Raditch is just pushing her to the side, but her cause to the side, but it was just honesty. And most students don't take that personally. Don't know about budgeting. So she hands out flyers, Raditch takes them away. Emma is ready to wave the white flag, and then they have the cafeteria commercial, which basically triggers her. And she starts a food fight accidentally. Raditch pins her for everything because of her flyers, but I don't think so. I think he's just upset at her. And then Emma does a protest outside school grounds. Sadly, though, Raditch still wants her to apologize for everything. She gives him a copy of her speech, but then she decides to go off kilter and tells everyone about her right to protest and says that Raditch is threatening her with suspension. She'll take it, and then, you know, Raditch was perturbed. And then Sean comes back in Emma's life for the second time, and they're together until Emma has to deal with domestic abilities in season 3 because she has to take care of her baby brother because of Snake's chemo and all that. So she has to step up to the plate. Sean is not too happy. Emma says that you shouldn't be with the gang, you're pathetic. Because she figures Sean is better than who he thinks he is. Of course, Emma had to deal with the fact that she found her birth father, Shane, in a mentally deficient home, and was upset that Spike didn't tell her about everything. But Snake stepped up to the plate, and Snake said that, Shane had a lot of problems. His parents didn't want him dealing with the baby. There was a lot of conflict, and Shane fell off a bridge by accident or on purpose, we don't know. And then he got hurt and put into a home and all that. Said that he wanted to help. And Spike should have told you, but she was just nervous about your reaction. So anyway, Emma turns out to be, Emma understands the situation. But in season 3, she has her fallout with Manny because of Manny being sexualized and all that and getting pregnant. And Emma was right the whole time. Emma probably kicked herself for not pushing Manny to the fact that she could have been a teen mom. Emma does stand up for Manny in the face of Craig, who was upset that Manny was going to have an abortion. So that it's Manny's body. If she wasn't my best friend, I'd be pissed. Which makes me think, wait a minute, didn't Emma and Manny break off as friends and they never rekindled until accidents will happen? I think that Emma realized that she needed Manny as a best friend and she blinked first. Manny didn't blink. Emma, of course, had those bad relationships, and then she got in trouble in season 4 for being petty over the fact Liberty wanted to be with Chris because Emma thought that she was going to get blasted, and Emma basically was stupid. I'm not defending Emma. And then Emma decides to join the cause to destroy Rick after he comes back to the school, after what he did to Terry the previous season. Her Orange Ribbon campaign works in a sense, but it bullies Rick a lot, and Paige's clique was not too happy with Emma protecting Rick at the end of the episode Mercy Street. Because Emma basically thought that, they weren't doing they weren't talking about the cause. She did it for the cause, although she could have done it for other reasons, including trying to get friends and trying to stick it to Raj, who basically told her not to do any more stupid crusades because it's affecting him. So Emma's all by herself and easily in Rick's possession on the Whack Your Brain team. Emma tries to fend off Rick, but Rick becomes creepy towards her. She finally blows off at Rick, saying that I protected you, I never liked you. And then that's when Rick decides to shoot Emma for spurning him. Actually, I don't know if he wanted to shoot Emma and all that. But after he shot Jimmy, he found Emma conveniently and wanted to destroy Emma. Thankfully, Sean saves the day and makes sure that Rick dies. Not on purpose, of course. Emma goes into zombie mode because of the shooting and the fact that the gun was right near her. And she felt terrible. She felt like by her helping to bully Rick, she was a cause of Rick blowing up. But it was more than that. So she basically was withdrawn for a while and then had gonorrhea from Jay, which actually set her back and snapped her out of her funk, which was weird. And then all of a sudden, Emma decides to be boy crazy, going towards Peter, even though Peter ruined Manny's life by distributing a topless video of her. I think Emma just wanted to be with a boy, and I said that it was probably because of how she didn't have a boyfriend to protect her from Rick. Sean could have been, but Sean went to Wasaka Beach to deal with his PTSD. So Emma in season 5 was unbearable. She was put in a bad situation with Snake cheating on Hatzalackles and out of the house, and then she decides to do an eating disorder to try to get control in her life. And that fails miserably. She's still with Peter in season 6. Sean comes back, and in the way, Peter ruins the chance to stay with Emma because of his pettiness towards Sean. And Emma goes with Sean, I think, to stick it to Peter. Emma and Sean deal with the JT stabbing, and of course, Emma overreacted to the JT stabbing. I mean, she had a right to get angry. I mean, I think her anger was more about guilt because, it happened at a house party she wasn't supposed to throw, and, it was blocks from her house. She probably felt nervous about things. So, anyway, Emma and Sean break off after season 6 because he wants to join the military. Emma almost uses a fake pregnancy to try to get Sean back in her life, but she thought she couldn't do it. And then season 7, she has to deal with Snake being accused by Darcy of things, Snake having to stay home, and then actually she ends up helping Snake out when Spike decides to go to her parents' place with Jack in tow. And of course, Emma blasts, I think she blasted Spike for The fact that Spike said that, Emma's taking control, and the last time I checked, she did that. She had an eating disorder. Emma did the right thing. She rekindled with Sean for one episode, which was great. And then, at the end, Damien cheated on her with Liberty. She took it that Damien was the bad guy and didn't want to hurt Liberty again. I think realizing that she made Liberty the bad guy in season 4 and it cost her dearly. She didn't want to do that all over again. So Emma goes to college. She unfortunately falls apart and she chases friends instead of grades, mostly because Manny went to Hollywood and Liberty went to pre-law. Emma felt lost. She ends up with Spinner and she turns her life around. That's cool. And number 1 with 66 votes was Holly J. I think this was on purpose because a lot of people probably like Holly J, the best of the 4 of them, but this to me actually, and this is unpopular opinion, this basically decides to be that, people didn't like Emma, Claire, and Maya. I mean, there were 86 combined votes for those 3 and 66 for Holly J. It was probably a way of saying, no one I prefer someone else, so that would have been 79, not even 50%. And when I can't decide who's the best, 89, so that would be above 50%. I think some people did it in a way that says that screw Emma, screw Claire, screw Maya. Holly J is much better. And Holly J had a redemption angle, which was good. But that's just how I feel. I just feel that people voting for Holly J basically wanted to spite those 3, even though they could have said, I prefer someone else. But, yeah, that's just me. And Holly J was a decent character, trying to get out of her sister's shadow, that being Heather. And she had some interesting storylines with Declan especially. And trying to find true love and then, trying to get with Sav. And also screwing around Anya. Like Holly J was evil for pushing Anya to be her twin in a sense. Her lapdog. I really hated Holly J for that. I just thought Holly J just took advantage of Anya's timidness. You could take that to the fucking bank. So anyhow, yeah, I can understand it, but I think it was just this big middle finger to Claire, Maya, and Emma. I understand, but still, not too happy about it. Anyway, that's the way it goes. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching.